Hey everybody, it's me, Rick Acosta, the Dodger Card Collector, coming to you with another video. Today is Friday, January 17th. We are quickly approaching the weekend. What do we got? Big weekend of football this weekend. My Rams are playing the Eagles on Sunday. While I expect them to give the Eagles a decent game. I think the Eagles will eventually pull away at some point in the second half. But you never know. And I know we got some other good matchups. Looking forward to that Bills Ravens game on Sunday. I hear the weather in Buffalo is going to be 17 degrees. That makes the Rams game in Philly, which is only going to be 32 degrees, seem like a summer day. We won't talk about how the Lions are going to be playing in 70-degree weather in that beautiful stadium of theirs. But looking forward to watching some football. I have a 3-day weekend. So I might go on Monday. And I haven't been to the Burbank card store in a while. And don't feel like hanging around the house on Monday. So I thought, oh, maybe I'll go look at some cards and check out some things that are going on in LA. Obviously, we're still getting through the fires that happened last week. First of all, I want to thank people who texted and emailed me, and I'm fine. I'm one of the lucky ones. I live roughly 25, 30 miles away from both fires, the Palisades fire and the Altadena fire. The Palisades fire was several miles from my house or from my business, my job. So I have been working from home the past few weeks, of which I expect next week we'll be told to return to the office. But unfortunately, in both fires, the Eaton fire, which was in Altadena and Pasadena, California, I grew up in that area. I grew up several miles from there. A lot of my childhood friends, it seemed like when they grew up and started families, a lot of them moved into the Altadena, Pasadena area. So unfortunately, I do know, as of this recording on Friday, at least three people I know have lost homes. One of them's in the YouTube community. I recently learned on Wednesday that a childhood friend, her house went up in the Palisades fire. And I'm still, there are people that I know that I've not spoken to in years that I know that live up in that Pasadena, Altadena area. And I hope that everything's okay there. Kind of puts everything in perspective. It really does, especially being out here. It's been a stressful 10 days, 2 weeks with the fires. And unfortunately, we had to continue our lives and working, and work has been pretty crazy this week. My client is a major film studio, and we have two different movies, and we've had television spots airing in literally every major college football bowl game, NFL on Netflix on Christmas Day. We have spots in the NFL playoffs this weekend. We had it in last weekend, NBA on Christmas Day. So it has just been crazy. I don't remember ever being this stressed at work in the past for a good 10 or 15 years. It's been crazy. But again, I put things in perspective. I am very fortunate. I have a house. I have my job. I have my life. I have my health. There are a lot of people in this part of the state that don't have that. They don't have their homes. They don't have their neighborhoods. And for those of you that think that Pacific Palisades and Pasadena is just full of a bunch of movie stars, that's a bunch of BS. There's a lot of people that worked for their homes and have lived their entire lives in the communities they live in. And this is just the biggest tragedy I've ever seen in this part of California. And like I said, it offered perspective. I had tickets to the Rams and the Cardinals at SoFi on Monday night. That game was moved to Arizona. And for the first 20 minutes, I was upset. And again, then I had to put in that perspective of, I have my house, I have my health. I'm very thankful for the things that I have. And for football games getting moved to Arizona, which, by the way, thank you, Arizona Cardinals fans, and the organization. The way they treated the Rams and their fans this past week was nothing less than very heartwarming. It was very amazing. And you have gained a fan. I am never going to cheer, unless you're playing the Rams, I am never cheering against the Arizona Cardinals, just for the class act they were this past week with my football team. We're getting closer to the Super Bowl. And for me, when the Super Bowl ends, to me, that's the beginning of baseball season. As of right now, I'm still waiting to see if Roku Sasaki signs with the Dodgers or the Padres or the Blue Jays. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But hobby-wise, I've had a couple of cards trickle in. For those of you that aren't aware who are local in SoCal, the Pasadena show that was scheduled for 2 weeks from this weekend has been postponed to late March due to the fires. The Red Cross needs the convention center area still for evacuees. So that show's been postponed. As of right now, Burbank, or the West Coast Card Show powered by Burbank Sports Cards, is still a go. Long Beach is still a go in February. I think we'll be okay with those two shows, but just know if you were planning on attending the Front Row Card Show in Pasadena on February 1st and 2nd, it's not happening. So we can live. We can live without that. So I've had some cards trickle in, and looking for, it's funny. Especially last week when the fires were really going strong, being able to look at sports cards or look for sports cards online, or when some cards did arrive in the mail, it was fun to be able to curate my collection and put cards in their albums or in their tops loaders, make my stats on the Excel spreadsheets. With hobby, the collecting was really a nice escape. So I wanted to let you guys know that. So what do we got going today? Honestly, not much. It's honestly, for me at least, you guys, it's really hard to think right now and be creative. But I do have some cards that I'd like to share with you guys. Just some randomness at it. I wanted to talk about a couple of players that we don't hear about, or two players specifically that you probably never heard of, and then a player you have heard of. But I wanted to show off some cards, wanted to spend some time with you guys and ask you how you're doing. Hopefully you're doing well. I'm doing well. And again, I appreciate people who reached out to me. And let's turn around and take a look at some baseball cards, you guys. All right, so one of the new features I wanted to do for this year was to always pick a player and show off some cards of guys that we never hear about. I appreciate hearing about Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle and Sandy Koufax and Lou Gehrig as much as anyone. But I know when I first started my channel, I talked about a lot of players that people just didn't tend to talk about or who had never heard of. So I kind of wanted to take a step backwards and feature a player in each one of my shows. Now today I'm going to do two, just because we've had a couple of recent deaths in the past month, and I don't want my... I just want to show these things off before they start getting backed up. So in December, a player by the name of Charlie Maxwell passed away. Now, some of you might say, who's Charlie Maxwell? Well, let me tell you this, you guys, and this is part of the beauty about card collecting. So Charlie Maxwell, Pawpaw Maxwell, he passed away in December at the age of 97 years old. Now, his career was from 1950 to 1964. His best years were with the Tigers from 1955 to 1962. His best season being 1956, where he had 28 home runs, 87 RBIs, and had a batting average of .326. He's a two-time All-Star. And as I mentioned, he passed away at 97. He received his nickname Paw because he was from Paw Paw, Michigan. He also had the nickname of the Sabbath Smasher and Sunday Charlie. And the reason he was given these nicknames was because in a doubleheader in 1959 against the Yankees, Maxwell hit 4 consecutive home runs. So that's what gave him the nickname. Now I'm featuring here is 1963 Topps, 52 Topps, and 57 Topps, all on different teams. In fact, he was at his passing, Maxwell is the oldest living Red Sox and White Sox player. So I wanted to talk to you guys a little about him. This was a guy that played 14 years. He had a good inventory of cards, and I'm showing them to you right, 3 of them right now. So that is Charlie Pawpaw Maxwell, and he passed away in December at the age of 97 years old. Okay, now on Wednesday, the oldest living Dodger passed away, and that is Tommy Brown, featured in his 1949 Bowman card. And then I also have a 1952 reprint that was created in the 1983 Topps reprint set of 1952. But here is Tommy Brown. Now, Tommy Brown made his debut for the Dodgers in 1944. He was 16 years old. He was 16 years and 241 days old when he made his debut with the Dodgers in 1944. He still holds the record. He is the youngest MLB player to hit a home run at 17 years old and 257 days. Granted, he made the Dodgers primarily probably because of the war, but he stuck around. He played in 44 and 45 for the Dodgers. In 46, when he finally turned 18, he had to join the military. Came back in 47, and he played along. He went back to the Dodgers, played with Jackie Robinson, Pee Wee Reese, Gil Hodes, Duke Snider, and he even played for the Dodgers in the 1949 World Series. Now, he played what, from 1944 to 1953. He had 1,200 at-bats, roughly 300 hits in those years. He was basically a utility guy. He passed away on Wednesday at the age of 97 years old. He was one of 2 players from the 40s still alive, the other being our good friend Bobby Shantz, featured in his 1952 Topps card right here. These 2, I'm going to pull out this card, so we'll put the original cards in there. So these were the two last living players left from the 40s. Now we're down to just Bobby Shantz. But Tommy Brown passed away at 97 years old. And he was also the oldest living Dodger. I need to research now who's next. They're down to like 5 or 6 that are in their 90s. Next up, I was not planning on showing this card, but Bob Uecker passed away. But I actually bought this card because of the 1950s, or I needed the Dud Camilli card as part of my Dodger team set a long time ago. And this was one of the cards, along with the 63 Ken McMullen, where I just grinded my teeth, knowing at the time I think I spent maybe $100, $90, just because Bob Uecker was on the card. Now, you guys all know about Bob Uecker. That's why I didn't necessarily spotlight him. But for me, my memories, he was 54 years announcer for the Milwaukee Brewers, which is crazy. I mean, Vin Scully announced for the Dodgers for 67 years. I remember him primarily, he was one of the color commentators on Monday Night Baseball in the 70s. I remembered him from that. And then I have to admit, before I recorded this video, I was on Instagram and somebody put together the funniest Bob Uecker scenes from Major League 1 and 2. And I couldn't stop laughing. And I've often wondered with Bob Uecker's role in those movies, did he write that himself or did a Hollywood writer write that? Because some of that stuff is just hysterical. And he was just a funny guy. You know, check out the YouTube clips of him on the Johnny Carson show. And also check out his Hall of Fame induction speech, which both Buster Olney and Tim Kirchin of ESPN saying that that was the best Hall of Fame speech they'd ever seen. He has players crying in his in his induction speech. And I also forgot, because I never watched it, he was on Mr. Belvedere for 6 years, 6 seasons. So a very successful man, very successful ball player, a very successful announcer. He didn't have the best baseball career. He played on the Braves and the Cardinals and the Phillies. Wasn't very distinguished, but he got to play in the majors and he made a good living out of it. So rest in peace, Bob. 90 years old. And here's his card with his rookie card from 1962. All right, recent pickup. George Kell in a 1954 Bowman. Just like the card, PSA 6. I'm trying to beef up a little some cards from the Bowman era that I don't feel I have much of. So looking at some Hall of Famers that I don't necessarily own already. So George Kell was one of them. And here he is featured again, as I said, in his 1954 Bowman. The next cards I'm showing you, I'm just showing you just because they're in my collection. I don't know if I show them off, and I know you guys like looking at cards. So here's my 1964 Topps Duke Snider. His last baseball card. By this point, Duke had been traded to the Mets, but by 1964, he was already on the San Francisco Giants, finishing up his career. Along with Walter Spahn. It would have been interesting to see cards of those guys. Spahny and Snider, that would have been good. Next up is a 1953 Harvey Haddix. Pitched a 12-inning, a little more than 12-inning perfect game. And that's just a nice card from the 1953 Topps set that I thought I'd share with you guys. Let's see. This card I remember buying pretty cheap. That was a 1960 Topps Frank Robinson. Again, you hear this every time I show a Frank Robinson card or someone shows a Frank Robinson card on YouTube. Very underrated in the hobby. You can find this gentleman's cards so cheap. I don't understand it. He has incredible numbers. Do I have a Frank Robinson player run? No, but I have a bunch. I have a bunch, including the rookie card. I do have the rookie card. Next up, Hall of Famer Gil Hodes. I still love saying that. That's him featured in his 1955 Golden Stamps card. 1955 Golden Stamps. Good looking smile there. It's just a good looking card. Oh, I loved this next one as a kid. 1974 Topps Carlton Fisk. Look at him waiting for the throw from the plate. With someone, I want to say this is that Yankees. This is a Yankee game. I can't see this guy on the camera, you guys. So that might be someone on the Yankees. But I think he's about to be barreled over or run into, and it's very hard to run over Carlton Fisk, even if your name's Lou Piniella. But that's a good-looking card from the 1974 Topps set that I loved as a kid. I loved it so much that I'm actually remembering this now for the first time. I actually taped this onto my notebook in the 4th grade because I loved that card so much. So that's Carlton Fisk. Now, I was talking to you earlier about Tommy Brown being the youngest player to ever hit a home run in Major League Baseball history. He hit it off this guy, Preacher Rowe. Now, some of you might say, well, wait a minute, Preacher Rowe played on the Dodgers too. Yeah, but when Tommy Brown hit the home run, Preacher Rowe was still on the Pirates. He hadn't started his career with the Dodgers. So here is the 1949 Bowman Elwin Preacher Rowe. Oh, I got 2 more for you. 1955 Topps Al Kaline. Good looking card. I bought this for my display wall thinking I'd never buy a 54 play ball or 54 Topps, which was his rookie. And then somehow I lucked into a 54 rookie card. So kept the 55. I should actually get the 56 because then I would have 54 through 57 already graded. I'm not a player collector unless you played for the Dodgers. So I don't go out of my way to collect every player. That's a good Al Kaline card from 1955. And then my last card. It's my biggest card, or my largest card of the day, I should say. And that is the 19 1913 T200 Fatima team card of your Brooklyn, as they were called there, Brooklyn Nationals. I think at this point they might have been going by the Superbas. And there are two, well, I mean, there's a lot of guys you can call out here, but Casey Stingle's in this photo as a player, and so is Zach Wheat. And this was a card I wanted. I think this was a card I did find out about it through YouTube a few years ago. And I finally tracked one down. And I'm glad I did, because they're not cheap. And they weren't cheap when I bought them, and they're definitely not cheap now. But that is my 1913 Fatima Brooklyn Nationals card. All right, you guys, if you stuck around this long, thanks so much for hanging out. I should be remiss, I failed to say during my monologue earlier, thank you also, LAFD Fire Department. Thank you for all the hard work you guys did during these fires. And I will be back hopefully next week, the next 2 weeks, with a special video for you guys. But in the meantime, be kind to each other. Take care. Have a nice weekend. It's a beautiful